Howdy y'all and welcome. I hope y'all are getting very excited for Turkey Day because we're about a week away from the big old feast. Now before we get into the forecast, you can see here that a significant pattern change is increasingly likely across much of the country. So what we'll be covering is basically during the week of Thanksgiving, a colder pattern is likely for the west and northern and even the central plains, while mild air overspreads the east. The transition to a colder pattern is then forecast across much of the central and northern US into early December. And I have been seeing on social media that we could be heading into a very cold pattern as we get past Thanksgiving and head into the beginning weeks of December. Now, why am I saying that? Well, we can see here that we did come in on a warm start out west for November and a cold start here out east with some lake effect snow stretching all the way down into the Appalachians. And you can see here the MJO and the potential for a rare sudden stratospheric warming event may usher in a significant pattern change as we head into early December. So let's go ahead and get into the list. And of course, you can see what the Climate Prediction Center is expecting here, which I would be in agreement with. So let's go ahead and get into the forecast for the next couple of weeks, and then I'll show you a sneak peek into the beginning weeks of December. And of course, please always take this forecast with a grain of salt, as anything over a week out is virtually impossible to forecast. Now first we're going to take a look at the temperatures, and then we're going to take a look at the precipitation. As you can see here today, it'll be relatively warm here in the plain states and the southeast, while it's still going to be chilly up here in the northeast and northwest, which is pretty typical and spot on for this time of year. It's really going to be nice and warm for this time of year leading up into this weekend, just like last weekend was. Last weekend was very, very nice. Hopefully y'all got out there and put up those Christmas lights. We did here at the Winds Weather headquarters, and we even sat outside as well and enjoyed the nice weather while it lasted, because as you can see here, we're still going to be coming in on this here as we head into this weekend, but don't expect this to last though, because I would expect a little warm up leading up into Turkey Day before we start coming into some bitterly cold air by Turkey Day. You can see you're heading out Black Friday shopping on Friday morning into Friday afternoon. Could be very chilly out there, so I would bundle up if you're gobbling until you're wobbling out there. And as we head into December, could come in on one last warm-up before we come back into some bitterly cold air. Now, why are we going to be coming in on this bitterly cold air? Well, remember me talking about the sudden stratospheric warming that's going to be going on? Well, that's going to be playing a role in this, and I'll show you right here what I'm talking about. Now, as I zoom out on North America, keep an eye on this red blob right here. This is the sudden stratospheric warming event. You have warm air and the stratospheric layer going up here into the northern Arctic, and it disrupts that colder air that's right here, ushers in that colder air that comes down here. Put this in the motion here to show you what I'm talking about. Now you see that warm blob of air in the stratosphere interacting with that colder Arctic air, and of course it's going to be playing a role in disrupting what we call the polar vortex, and could usher in that cold air as we head into the beginning weeks of December. As you can see right here, going to be coming in on some potential bitterly cold air and winter-like air as we head into the beginning weeks of December. And it's really technically meteorological winter as we head into the 1st of December anyways. Now, what are the long-range models having to say? Well, before we get into the precipitation, we'll take a look at the CSV2. And this is something I usually show in the long-range models, but we'll show it here, and then I'll show it again once we head into the end of November, and I'll have my December outlook up probably right around, I would say, Black Friday time frame, somewhere around there. So stay tuned for that. But as you can see, heading into above average temperatures as we head into the week of Turkey Day. And then it's going to be getting really, really bitterly cold according to the CSV2 as we head into the December 2nd time frame, mainly because that sudden stratospheric warming event is interacting with that polar vortex, disrupting it, and coming down here into much of the lower 48. That's why we're going to be coming in on cold air, and of course, further we head out, the more uncertainty there is. So please take this with a grain of salt. Now, before we get into the precipitation, let's go ahead and get into the risk of hazardous temperatures. We can see that, don't take my word for it, but the experts at the Climate Prediction Center are predicting that we could be coming in on some barely cold air, at least a slight risk for that here in the plain states all the way into the northwest. So we could be coming in on barely cold air as we head into and past Turkey Day. So bundle up if you're going to be gobbling till you're wobbling, and bundle up if you're heading out to your get-togethers on Turkey Day. And as far as the temperature outlook by the Climate Prediction Center goes for the next 6 to 10 days, from the 24th into the 28th, I would expect it to be above average here from the Plain States up to the northeast into the southeast, as well as here from New Mexico over into California. It's going to be below average here in the northwest because that cold air is going to be funneling our way once we head past Turkey Day. Now, as far as the next 8 to 14 days go, as we head past Turkey Day and into the beginning weeks of December, much of the country is going to be heading into below average temperatures unless you live down here into the southeast into the Ohio Valley. And near normal means either above or below average, just depends. Now, other than the temperatures, we got to worry about the high winds as well. We are coming in on windy season here as we transition from fall into winter here very soon. Going to be coming in on a slight risk from Turkey Day all the way into the beginning weeks of December, and that's why we're going to be coming in on that bitterly cold air here very, very soon. Now, I know y'all came here to see if we're going to be coming in on a stormy Turkey Day, hence the thumbnail, so let's go ahead and get into it. Now, I know it's going to be cold here amongst much of the lower 48 for Turkey Day and even on Black Friday, so bundle up on both those 2 days. Now, what about the precipitation? Well, that's not the official forecast for Turkey Day. I'm going to save that for either Tuesday or Wednesday or sometime next week. I'll let you know on X and Facebook, though, so stay tuned. But as we head into this weekend, it's going to be relatively warm here in the Plain States all the way here into the southeast. So we could be coming in on another active weather pattern potentially. Keyword there is potentially. We don't have any risk for severe weather in the next few days, so that's some good news anyway. But it's looking to be very soggy here as we head into this weekend and into the beginning parts of next week. We could come in on some severe weather here amongst the Arklatex region down here, and we could come in on some snow here in the northwest. Could come in on some considerable accumulations up there. Spotty snow showers here in the northeast. It's going to be very chilly up there as we head into the beginning of next week. But what about as we head into Turkey Day at right around, I would say, 10 o'clock in the morning, y'all are heading out to those get-togethers? Looks like we could come in on some snowfall here in the central part of the country all the way up here into the northwest. Now, this is subject to change, obviously, so keep this in mind, but it could be a snowy get-together and a cold one at that here amongst much of the country, unless you live down here down by Texas all the way into the deep south. Could come in on some very soggy conditions, but of course, please take this with a grain of salt. This will change between now and then, and also the northeast is going to be dealing with some dreary conditions as well, so this Turkey Day could be very dreary for those traveling out to see friends and family. And even on Black Friday, it's going to be another dreary one out there. As you are gobbling until you're wobbling. Could be coming in on atmospheric river kind of conditions up here in the northwest with a lot of rain and a lot of snow. Snowfall occurring here in the Ohio Valley. This would be nice to have. I did get a snow gauge yesterday and I put it together, and that'd be nice for when I do go out there and do these snow reports here at the Winds Weather headquarters. And you can see coming in on soggy conditions here in the southern states as well. Now, once we head past Thanksgiving, this is when it gets very interesting, and keep in mind, we are almost 300 hours out. So please, again, take this with a grain of salt. This will change between now and then, but this holds true. Other than the bitterly cold air, we could be coming in on a very active weather pattern as we head into the December 1st time frame with severe weather down here in the Arklatex region up here by Missouri, with some flash flooding occurring as well, with some backside snow and potential blizzard conditions as this bitterly cold air funnels its way down here into the eastern half of the country, and of course further we head out, the more uncertainty there is. Now, as we head back to the Climate Prediction Center here, we can see the risk of heavy snowfall is going to be occurring once we get past Thanksgiving and into Black Friday and into the beginning weeks of December. As you can see, the slight risk for heavy snowfall extends all the way up into northern Michigan. So we could be coming in on some heavy snowfall as we head into the beginning weeks of December here for much of us here in the lower 48. And you can see that according to the Climate Prediction Center's 6 to 10 day precipitation outlook, could be coming in on above average precipitation here amongst much of the country, which could mean snowfall up here in the northwest, severe weather and flooding here in the Arklatex region, and a mixed bag here in the northern and central plains and the Ohio Valley. And I know it has been very dry here in East Tennessee. Did hear on the radio down there that could be coming in on some wildfire risks down there because the leaves already fell off, so Definitely got to be mindful of that down there, but it looks like some above average precipitation could be coming y'all's way. Here in California, going to be coming in on below average precipitation though, so it's going to be a quiet weather pattern out there anyway. Now, as far as the next 8 to 14 days go, well, looks like the whole entire country is going to be above average, so I guess that's some good news. Near normal down here in southwest Texas and the very far northwest part of Washington. So now that we know it's going to be above average, well, let's go ahead and get into how much precipitation and snowfall the whole entire country could come in on. According to the National Blended Models, this is the most conservative model we can go with, other than the National Weather Service model, obviously, but you can see where the jackpot of rain is going to be at once we move past Thanksgiving and into the end of the month. You can see the jackpot of rain is going to be down here in Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas, extending all the way up here into Pennsylvania, as well as up here in the very far parts of the northwest. Now, what about the snowfall? Well, take this with a grain of salt, but looks like the Rockies, obviously, going to be coming in on a lot of snowfall out there because there's some ski resorts that are opening out there. So fresh snowpack for the ski resorts. Get out there and enjoy those, by the way. And the Northeast going to be coming in on the jackpot as well. Could be coming in on a dusting here in Indiana and Ohio. In the Northwest, up here by Washington State. Going to be coming in on a foot of snowfall because we could come in on some atmospheric river-like conditions up there. So, to wrap this up, basically, as we go back to the GFS and take a look at the temperatures. So we can see as we head into this weekend, the central part of the country down here into the southeast is going to be warm leading up into this weekend. Going to be very chilly out west in the northeast, which is typical for this time of year. So we head into next week. Looks like it's still going to be remaining in that pattern. Going to be in a typical pattern for this time of year, where we're coming in on that one last warm up before that chill comes back. And it's looking like as we head into Turkey Day, we could be coming back into that bitterly cold air here amongst much of the lower 48, unless you live down here in the southeast, down here into the south central part of the country. So bundle up if you're heading out to those family get-togethers, and even on Black Friday, make sure you bundle up if you're going to be gobbling until you wobble. And it's looking like we could come in on that one last tiny warm up here in the Ohio Valley down into the southern states before that bitterly cold air comes through and brings some very, very, very chilly air. And the reason behind this is because we could be coming in on something called a sudden stratospheric warming event, where that warm air up in the upper layers of the stratosphere could be interacting with that cold air and just disrupting that polar vortex, and could be coming down here. It's the lower 48. And it's looking like we could, keyword there is could, be coming in on that here as we head past Thanksgiving and into the early weeks of December. But please take that with a grain of salt, though. Subject to change, obviously. Now, what about precipitation? Well, it's looking like it's going to be very soggy here from the southwest into the northeast, potentially, as we head into this weekend. It's going to be relatively warm out there, too. The eastern part of the country into the southwest. So if you have any Christmas lights put up, make sure you do it between now and this weekend, and potentially all the way out through Tuesday, because I'm thinking it's going to be getting very cold once we head into and past Turkey Day. And we can see as we head into early next week, we could be coming into an active weather pattern here in the Arklatex region. Could lead to severe weather and flooding down here, so be aware of that. Could be dealing with atmospheric river-like conditions here in the northwest with some snowfall and rain. Gonna be very dreary up there. Spotty snow showers here in the northeast as well. And as we head into Turkey Day, right around 10 o'clock in the morning, y'all are getting ready to head out to those family get-togethers. Could be coming in on some snowfall, so be mindful of this. Subject to change, obviously. I did see some model runs that have been hinting at no snowfall, so this is subject to change. Keep this in mind, but this holds true. This could disrupt some travel plans, but don't let this deter you from heading out to see friends and family. It's going to be soggy as well down here from Texas into the deep south, and dreary conditions could be possible here in the northeast. But of course, please take this with a grain of salt. I will have my official Turkey Day forecast up probably on Tuesday of next week, so please keep this in mind. And once we move past Turkey Day, head into Black Friday, y'all are gobbling until you're wobbling. Could be dealing with some atmospheric river conditions up here in the northwest. Could be leading to some dreary, rainy, and snowy conditions up there. Some snowy conditions here in the Ohio Valley. Soggy conditions in the deep south. And once we move past that, it looks like another system could be coming our way. And this is looking very concerning. Now, this is well over 300 hours out. Keep this in mind. Take this with a grain of salt. This most likely will not happen, but if it does happen, could be coming in on a very active weather pattern here as we head into the beginning weeks of December, as we could be coming in on a severe weather pattern and flooding situation down here in Arkansas and some blizzard-like conditions and an ice storm potential on the backside of over here from Kansas up here into Michigan and parts of the Northeast, and even atmospheric river conditions returning here in the Northwest. But of course, very far out to determine whether or not this will actually happen or not. So, to wrap this up, basically, I would expect that here at the end of the month, as we head into and past Turkey Day, it's going to be very, very cold for much of us here in the lower 48. Could come in on one last warm-up, which could mean an active weather pattern here as we head into the beginning weeks of December, which could mean some severe weather down south and flooding, and some blizzard conditions on the backside in the central plain states, which could mean that we could be dealing with a polar vortex here at the beginning weeks of December. But of course, please take that with a grain of salt. This is subject to change, so again, take that with a grain of salt. Can't stress that enough. Now, one last thing before I let y'all go. We got the auroras. I did capture some great auroras last week. I think it was last week anyway. I forget what day it was, but looks like for the next couple of days, we got the auroras to track, because tonight's not going to be very visible, but tomorrow night, on the other hand, on the night of the 20th, it's looking to be very, very visible here in Canada, Alaska, and could be even spotted down here in the northern part of the United States. So could be coming in on some auroras. Now, the auroras are very hard to track, so keep this in mind, but did capture them last week, and they were very, very nice to see, so get out there and track them, y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit that like and share button so more folks are informed about the weather. Also, leave me some feedback in the comment section down below, as any feedback helps provide you, the viewer, better and more informative content in the future. And also, if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. It helps more than you know, because here at Williams Weather, we try to make weather forecasting fun and informative. So again, I will have my Turkey Day forecast up probably by Tuesday, I would say, most likely on Monday. I'll let y'all know though on X and Facebook, as I will be issuing percentages based on whether or not it's going to be good to go to have those Turkey Day get-togethers or not. But of course, please don't let the weather deter you from getting out to see your friends or family. And even it's looking like it's going to be a treacherous one on Black Friday, so be gobbling until you're wobbling out there. So looks like it's going to be a treacherous one if you're going to be gobbling until you're wobbling on Black Friday, but of course that's subject to change. So could be coming on a wild ride here at the end of the month, so stay tuned. This is going to be one to watch, that's for sure, and I'll be keeping my eye on it. So again, like, comment, subscribe. Appreciate all y'all for watching. Stay warm, stay safe, and as always, never stop forecasting.